Hey guys, this is MugenLord here, and how many of you knew that there was a Breath of Fire Spiritual Successor Kickstarter going on for the past couple of weeks? Well, if you didn't, you just missed it because it failed. So before we dive into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button because it definitely helped me here on this YouTube channel, and also hit that notification bell to be notified for more RPG news and fighting game news here on this channel. So let's dive right into it. Before we even discuss the Spiritual Successor of Breath of Fire, I just want to say that I love these Kickstarter campaigns that's going on by a lot of these veteran designers and programmers who develop a lot of our favorite JRPGs and just games in the past era, especially since now that we're moving away, especially in Japan, with Sony. Sony has pretty much closed out all of its Japanese studios, so a lot of your favorite JRPGs like Legend of Dragoon and many other games that was created by Japanese studios are just gone. And if you think about Konami and what happened with Konami, that they just strayed away from just doing gaming in general, but they're trying to come back. But developers had left and created Euden Chronicles, which is another perfect example, which is a spiritual successor to the Sekuden series. So there's a lot of game developers coming out of the woodworks, especially like Arm Fantasia, spiritual successor to Wild Arms. They're all coming out of the woodworks and just want to bring back that 90s era, the golden era of JRPGs. And this spiritual successor right here, called Tears of Magic, was no different. Developers try to come out and try to relive and revive the Breath of Fire series, since Capcom, if you guys don't know, that's Capcom's Final Fantasy. That was Capcom's first JRPG, and it seems like Capcom has just totally ditched it. They just pretty much resorted it and just moved it to mobile gaming only in Japan for some reason. It just doesn't make any sense. But I believe if Capcom would have stuck with it, and that would have been their highlighted AAA Final Fantasy series for their company, and they just abandoned it. So it seemed like developers wanted to do the same thing, create a Kickstarter called Tears of Magic, which definitely with their pledge goal was $90,000 or $90K, but it failed. It was supposed to reach it by November 3rd, and they only reached 61,000. And from what I understand, I think they're going to try to redo another campaign to see if they can get that, get more backers to push it. But we're going to dive into some of the details of what they were trying to present here with Tears of Magic. Now, to let you guys know that I haven't been really a big Breath of Fire fan. I played the games. I have owned a Breath of Fire 3 and Breath of Fire 4. Now, though they are good games, they are definitely good games. Nothing wrong with them, but I never really stuck around long enough to actually just, became an ultimate fan of it. But there is a fan base that wants this game to come, and me as a person who been around since the golden era of JRPGs in the 90s, I would love to see this make a return in some shape or form. Now, looking at the screenshots and even looking at the gameplay itself, you can tell that they're going with that more of that old school 90s era feel when it comes to the games. Now, the thing is, I don't have a problem with this because you can see Euden Chronicles have pretty much done the same thing, but everything has been up-res, better quality and everything. But I think the only issue is here with Tears of Magic, and you look at their campaign, it looks too amateurish, if I can say. It looks too indie. It doesn't look like, hey, if I was a fan of Breath of Fire, I wouldn't be able to tell that this is trying to be a spiritual successor to Breath of Fire. It looks too indie as far as the art style is concerned, especially how the main characters look. It looks more deviant art, when it comes to the presentation, which can pretty much turn, people away or people not take it much seriously. And I think the elephant in the room for me when it comes to this campaign itself is looking at what they've shown off so far. In my opinion, looking at the gameplay and what they're showing off, even though it's just the beginning process of it, it looks really, really dated. It looks like it's too much closely to how it is back in the 90s. Because like I said, the gameplay and everything in the 90s when it comes to JRPGs were good, but now we're in modern time. And the way to be able to pull off these type of campaigns to pretty much give us that classic feel, you still need to update it in a sense to where it still looks appealing for modern time, but it still has the soul and the essence of the era of the 90s. I mean, Square Enix done it pretty well with the HD 2D graphics. When you look at games like Octopath Traveler, Alive Remake, when you look at those are 90 eras, type of soul and feel to it, but it still have a modern touch to it as well. But we look at Tears of Magic, to me, in my opinion, it looks a little rough. It doesn't look as appealing as we've seen with Yuden Chronicles and Shadow Hearts. It doesn't look as appealing as Arm Fantasia. It looks too old school, too old school, and there's nothing wrong with that because there is a genre for it. But I don't think it looks, like Breath of Fire or close enough to Breath of Fire. So I think that's a little bit of something that the campaign itself really didn't hone in on when it comes to that. But we're going to dive into just what they have for the story and everything what they have here. So as far as the story is concerned, you were born as one of the last dragons in a world where dragons have not been seen for over a century. After manifesting your powers for the first time, you witnessed the disasters such as unbridled power can wreck and sort the training and protection of the Seekers and organizations of mages that work to prevent corruption from occurring around Vetaros, the western continent. Under their guidance, you learn to control your power and have now been sent on a mission to investigate a series of corruption cases caused by unknown forces, where you will meet both horrifying new foes and powerful, steadfast allies. A journey which will uncover the secrets of the world, dragons, and magic. So that's pretty much the synopsis for the story. They added that there's going to have various different clans. So the Vol'jin is a fantasy world inhabited by anthropomorphic people with animal traits. During your adventure, you will meet several races gathered underneath clans, each with their own culture, history, architecture, economy, and much more. So they have definitely shown that off. And Breath of Fire is a staple for having anthropomorphic type creatures throughout the series, so this is no different. So you'll definitely see that here on this. You also have the Dragon Clan, which is the most powerful beings in the world with the ability to transform into other shapes. Ever since the first records of the Whispering Clans, dragons have acted as guides and guardians of the world. However, their clan went almost extinct to protect humankind against the Great Calamity. Very few dragons survived that catastrophe, with no dragons being seen during the past century. And dragons in Breath of Fire as well has always been a big deal. They were very rare to see as well, so they're pretty much keeping that tradition going on. But you will also see a lot of the artwork here on the Kickstarter itself that gives you a gist and the idea of everything that they have to show here. And also the main character, Kaiser, which I guess you would say is a male and female version of them. So I guess you can choose which one you want. So say you are Kaiser, a youngster who inherited the power of the Dragon Clan. You can set your gender, your appearance, and shape your personality to customize your own experience. You grew up in Salih, a small fishing village in most remote part of Riverhome, together with your parents, grandpa, and younger siblings. After your dragon powers manifest, you joined the Seekers to learn how to control your new abilities. So just like we would say in Dragon Quest, normally you start off as a young protagonist, and as you progress through the game, I guess there's like if I can remember, a time skip where you're much older, which they have shown right here. You see a much younger version of the male and female protagonist. Then they grew up into a much older version of themselves as well. And you have various different forms of dragons and within the clan itself. So you have different party members that join your side. They all look reminiscent to what we see in most Dragon Quest games. So I guess Lilith herself, I guess she will be the Nina of the game. Breath of Fire also has this thing to where every game, the main character has blue hair and named Ryu, and always have a female protagonist with wings named Nina. So I guess Lilith will be that one, because it's intelligent, zealous, and innocent. Lilith is considered a crawler because of her inability to fly. So she doesn't fly. The result of her weak affinity to wind magic, raised in a sheltered environment because of her grandfather's high position in Zephyria. She was educated from an early age in faith of the Sky Mother, but also looked up to her father, who was a curious scholar and always open to the wonders of the world. After her mother became severely ill, her father left Severia to find a cure for her conditions and suddenly stopped sending letters after some time. Unable to convince people to form a search party for her father, she decided to leave Severia on her own to find him without the consent of her grandfather. So that's what it seems like. It seems like that's what's going on. And then we have a special feature called Custom Protagonist. Be whoever you want to be. Pick your own gender, name, skin color, hair, and even clothes. Your personality can be ranged from entertaining to reserved, kind to practical, brave to cautious, diligent and relaxed, and resilient to emotional. Your choices will define your personality, which will affect dialogue options and cutscenes. All right, I was about to ask that question. So it seems like that there will be some story impact depending on your choices that you make, but how much of an impact will it have, which we will not know right now. But I think that's pretty interesting, because if you don't know, Breath of Fire, also the protagonist is always a silent protagonist. So I guess to distinguish themselves from Breath of Fire as well, to be its own thing, if the protagonist is going to be silent, you might as well be able to allow the player to be able to customize their own character from the start. But we're going to have to just wait and see how that go. So there's also a relationship system where you get to pretty much form bonds to build affinity with your party members, so that unlock new magic and dragon forms as well. Skill growth, you can choose your own path to adapt your playstyle. Each skills can fit the role and everything. You got crafting, you can craft your weapons and armors. So it seemed like they was going to be pretty ambitious during this, but the combat itself is which I was curious, and they addressed here. Tears of Magic was designed to have a high-paced, turn-based combat with a good degree of strategy. There's no transitions from exploration to battle, which means opponents will be doing their default behavior in the scene, like eating or patrolling, until engage with battle start immediately without changing to a new scene. Turns alternate between actions of all allies and actions of all opponents, with the ability to choose the sequence of action during your turn. So they said they have tag attacks. So both of your characters can pretty much flank attack, and pretty much in one single animation, both characters can attack at once. So there's a whole lot that they seem like they wanted to go with. It seems very ambitious as far as the cast, the crew is concerned. You have Yoshino Oki, which she is known for her work with Breath of Fire 3, with Araki Kayeda and Breath of Fire 4. So she's the sole composer. She's an ex-Capcom Japanese composer that also worked in Mega Man Battle Network and Star Force. So she's the only one that's actually from the Breath of Fire team. So we just want to wait and see. But as far as we know, the game, as far as the backing is concerned, failed and didn't get the backing that it needs. But it seemed like they're going to try to go back and do it again. But as for me, it really didn't stick out to me much. It have a very indie vibe to it. From the other campaigns, you can tell from the other campaigns for the other spiritual sisters, you can tell that there's more polish to it, and it has a bit more industry look to it compared to what you see of Tears of Magic. And as you can tell, it seems like from the bios of a lot of these developers, a lot of them are new to this. So I guess you can understand why that's the case as well. But that's pretty much it for this. I just wanted to bring awareness to this, that Tears of Magic, which is the Breath of Fire spiritual successor, was certainly a thing. It was going on, but it failed. It didn't reach its campaign goal, and hopefully they'll try it again. So if you guys didn't know about it, let me know in the comment sections below what you feel about Tears of Magic. Do you think that there's a place for this? Do you think that they have to go back to the drawing board to make it more appealing? And tell me why you think it failed to reach its goal. So if you have any thoughts, leave that in the comment section below, because I definitely want to know, because I love engaging with you guys in the comment sections. And also want to thank you guys. I finally reached 12.6k subscribers. It seemed like I'm reaching 100 subscribers every other week, which is also a good thing. I'm loving it. So I'm seeing some growth here on the channel. And that about wraps everything up. This is MugenLord, sign off. I'll see you Game Fiends later. Peace out.